Hey everyone, welcome back. So you've probably been seeing those articles about the big changes happening at the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
It can be kind of tough to keep up with all the new faces and
Oh,
new
yeah.
roles and everything, right?
It's definitely a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And they're important changes, too.
Absolutely.
Especially because they're happening so early in President Trump's second term.
You're right about that.
So we're going to deep dive into all of this today.
Okay, sounds good.
The article that we're looking at today, it really focuses on this whole shakeup at the FBI.
Okay.
And it seems like President Trump is really making a push to kind of steer the FBI
Right.
in a whole new direction.
It's pretty unusual to see this much turnover at the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, especially right as a new term begins.
Right at the very start.
This is definitely a sign that President Trump wants to have a lot of control over the FBI.
Right.
And it could mean that the agency is about to shift directions in a big way.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Exactly. So there's one part in the article that I thought was particularly interesting.
Okay, what's that?
It talks about how Kashyap, Kash Patel,
Right.
is going to be the next FBI director.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, who is this guy? What's his story?
Oh, Patel's actually kind of a familiar face around D.C.
Really?
He's been in the Trump administration for a while now,
Okay.
had some positions on the National Security Council.
Mm-hmm.
He was a senior advisor to the acting director of national intelligence.
Oh, wow.
And people know him for speaking his mind, pretty frankly,
Okay.
especially when it comes to stuff about what he calls the deep state.
So basically, he's not afraid to shake things up a bit.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And now he's going to be in charge of the entire FBI.
That's right.
That's a huge deal.
It is.
It's not just him either.
No, you're right.
The article also mentioned how there's been all these different acting directors.
Yeah, like a revolving door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In just a short time.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Like, we had Christopher Wray leaving,
Yeah.
and then Paul Abbate stepped down.
Just hours before the inauguration.
It's like musical chairs over there.
It really is.
So what's with all the changes at the top? What do you think it means?
Well, it could mean a few things.
Okay.
You know, it could be about making sure everyone's loyal,
Okay.
bringing in people who are on the same page as the president.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be a way to shake things up at the FBI,
Right.
to kind of disrupt how things have always been done
Yeah.
so they can make changes faster.
It feels very intentional.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, like part of a strategy or something.
Exactly.
So there's also this bit in the article about Bruce Swartz
Oh, yeah.
being reassigned.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the deal with that? And why should we care?
Well, Swartz was a big name at the Justice Department.
Big.
He was running the International Affairs Division for a long time.
Okay.
And just to clarify for our listeners,
Yeah.
that division's a pretty big deal because it handles all the international stuff, like working with other countries on law enforcement, you know, extraditing criminals,
Yeah.
investigations that go across borders, all that.
So when someone like Swartz gets moved, along with 20 of his staff,
It's definitely a big deal.
yeah, that's a huge signal.
It definitely makes you wonder
Yeah, for sure.
if the U.S. is about to change how it deals with crime on a global scale.
So much to think about here.
Right.
We've got this new director who seems like a real force.
Mm-hmm.
He's tight with the president.
Yep.
Then there's this whole string of acting directors.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're switching things up in the International Affairs Division.
That's a lot.
So what does all this mean for the future of the FBI? Like, what kind of changes are we going to see actually happening?
It's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but we can look at what President Trump has said he wants to do
Okay.
and try to find some clues there.
Makes sense.
So we might see the FBI focus more on things like border security,
Okay.
immigration enforcement, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
And Patel's background makes me think they might also put a lot of emphasis on cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It's also going to be really interesting to see how this all affects the FBI's relationships
Mm-hmm.
with other intelligence agencies and their international partners.
Yeah. How everything shifts.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today.
We have.
A lot to digest.
Absolutely.
If we're connecting all the dots,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the big takeaway is that President Trump is making some massive changes at the FBI.
Absolutely.
And these changes could really affect how the FBI works.
Both inside the U.S. and internationally, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
It's going to be really important for everyone to pay attention
Mhm.
and see how these leadership changes actually play out.
Okay.
It's one thing to appoint new people,
Right.
but it's a whole other thing to see how those people actually change the agency.
That's a great point.
And that's what we're all waiting to see right now.
Wow, this has been really insightful.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Anytime.
And we'll be back soon with more.
Looking forward to it.
See you later.
See ya.